KB's unemployed sheet. He's unemployed and didn't know what to do, so he started a shame. Talks about stuff to kill time. He didn't know what to call it, so he called it KB's Unemployed Show.
Hey, it is KB's Unemployed Show. Back again. I believe this is day 64 of me not having a job. So what did I do today? Well, I went and taught today, so I had that going for me. But it was interesting. Either I'm getting better at teaching, but I'm starting to see a change in the students. A lot of the wokeness is going away, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And not the fact that, they're going to the other side of the equation where, they're, extremely anti-woke. They're just becoming more and more realistic and having a better understanding about what is going on in the world. We went through the Super Bowl commercials, and they weren't even remotely offended when I talked about the passive aggressive nature of the hims and hers spot, which normally they would have been, but that didn't bother them at all. And I was like, there might be hope yet. I don't expect everyone to come around to a fully conservative way of thinking. That would be horrible. You got to be practical. You have to have a balance of both sides, and it seems as if it's coming back. So I'm here today with a lightened heart and thinking maybe our future is not as grave as it could be. And the other thing they also noted was that Ring doorbell spot where they said over 10 million dogs are lost each year. And Ring doorbells, we can recover more than one a day. And if you do the math, that means that what Ring doorbell is actually saying is 10 million dogs are lost a year. But if you put Ring doorbells over your entire neighborhood and pay us a subscription fee and let us surveil your entire area of living and anything that walks by your house, we could recover somewhere between 365 and 730. It's basically what they said. More than, we can recover more than one dog a day. Okay, 365, more than one. It's not two. That's how you do the math. And a bunch of these kids thought it was creepy. They thought it was dystopian. And I'm saying that there is hope left. Now, sadly, I had to shatter their dreams and say, well, yeah, it is. And I appreciate the fact you think that way. But in all honesty, you gave up your privacy the first time you downloaded an app on your phone, because we don't even pay any attention. If you went into an app and read the terms and conditions, it would blow your mind what they have access to. So, everyone who went and started playing Angry Birds and Candy Crush, you gave up your freedom. But at least they start to know this now. At least they know it. So there is hope for all of us. There is hope. So now that the Super Bowl is over, I see that now Congress is jumping in the Bad Bunny discussion, and somebody wants Bad Bunny reported to the FCC because of the language he used. And I find that to be very interesting, because the majority of Americans had no idea what he was saying because it was all in Spanish. But apparently, I do not know, I do not speak Spanish, but apparently there was some rather crass words that were spoken or sung or whatever the case may be. So now they're saying they're violating FCC violations, which I think is here's where I stand on that. It's like, let it freaking go. Will you just let it go? It's over. It's done. He performed. It was the most widely viewed halftime show of ever. I read it was 135 million people. I didn't watch it. I didn't care. I didn't like the music. 135 million people did. The other, how many of that has to do with the game? I'm not exactly sure. You had the two coasts involved. But it's over. It's done. He's going to have a stadium tour this summer that's going to sell out. I guarantee you that is going to be another lightning rod. At what point can we just say, God, just let this shit go? Right? We're just being consumed with all of this angst and hatred and everything like that. It's just like, let it go. Move on. No one cares. I don't care what Bad Bunny does. I don't care about Billie Eilish, and anyone who does really ought to have their head examined because, they don't give a rat's ass about you. So anyway, I am back to watching the Olympics, and it has been fun. Now, the Olympic Games, now we're talking, that's, bringing the world together, if you will. And I've been watching the Olympic Games, and I'm going to get into a couple things with the Olympics that in a little bit. A couple of observations I had, not necessarily, and these are not observations on the performances and the medal count or anything like that. Why? Because that would be discussing sports, and I'm not able to do that. I am legally forbidden to do a sports talk show. So I will not do that. However, there is a lot to watch with the Olympics, and I am going to dive into some of that. But first of all, how I like to start the show is, of course, with a few newscasts from news stories from today's headlines. Federal authorities released the first surveillance photos showing a potential subject connected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Of course, I guess Fox News has turned into NGTV because it's every time we roll by it, it's some sort of a Nancy Guthrie story. People go missing all the time, but it's getting this much attention because their daughter is famous. I mean, we got to focus on everyone who's being abducted, not just one, but this is an indication of what America is into, right? We want the sensationalism. Just an average guy out in Oklahoma, an average grandmother in Oklahoma disappearing means nothing, right? This is entirely different. Of course, you've got Nancy Grace on the case, who I really haven't watched since she's been off the air, but I do recall that it was Nancy Grace was basically the it was basically the missing cute little white girl show, because she didn't give a rat's ass about anyone else. But if it was a cute white girl, all right, we're all over that. We're going to beat that into the ground. So federal authorities released the first surveillance photos, and here they are, and they are scary, right? They have images, and two videos were shared on a post on X today. The FBI recovered these images from residual data in back-end systems of their Ring doorbells or Nest cameras, whichever one it is, Ring or Nest, one of the two. They described it as being previously inaccessible before. As you can see, it shows a person wearing a backpack, long sleeve pants, approaching the front door. And then in the picture on I believe it would be the left, it's a person attempting to conceal the doorbell camera with plants and flowers that they ripped out of the front of the house. Then in the middle, you can see the person is waiting, and then they again try to cover up with a gloved hand the camera. They said the individual looks armed, and they appeared to have tampered with the camera at the front door. Multiple news outlets have received alleged ransom letters. One demanded money, but then they don't know if they're authentic because the last was they wanted 6 million in Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, isn't that traceable? That seems like it's a dumb request because it doesn't exist. It's not like there are Bitcoins laying around, right? It's just that. So if you give someone 6 million in Bitcoin, there has got to be an electronic trail somewhere. So it doesn't make any sense unless they're really bad kidnappers. If they're really bad kidnappers, yeah, then you request money with a electronic trail. It used to be they would just want $1 million in small unmarked bills, right? Not traceable. Bitcoin, 6 million. I don't think that's a bright move. FBI is offering $50,000 for information related to the case. And they keep reiterating, and they do, that Guthrie needs daily medication for health issues. One thing that I find intriguing that I haven't heard anything about is that she had that she would have a pacemaker, which that is, I know my mom had something put in because she had a heart attack. I don't believe she has it in now, but my mom had something put in that would send a signal back to the doctor and transmit. I do recall one time I was having heart like palpitations and everything like that. It was just simply stress. But what they did was they gave me this, they put this device on me, and it was like in olden times. So what they had to do was I would have to, every day, I would have to take this thing and hold it up to a phone, and it would play, you know, it would be like I was connecting to a modem with AOL with that noise, or like how you had to retrieve your messages back in olden times, that you had that little device on your answering machine. You'd call your number and you'd play that, and it would play your messages back. But apparently they can track things with a pacemaker or something that is implanted, but I have not heard anything as to whether or not they have any information from that. They're hoping that she is still alive. I'm not exactly sure if it is. Hey, I'd like to welcome the 14 people here. I've dropped off of the face of the earth. People must expose me getting stuff down to 13 again. I suppose that episode of couple technical difficulties and me getting drinking the THC seltzer on the air probably drove a lot of people away. In Dallas, the city of Dallas has a bit of a problem with vegetation around White Rock Lake. So what they've got is invasive shrubs that are crowding out native plants. So they decided to take things into their own hands. And what they did is, did they get people to go out and garden? No, they did not. Did they go in there and cut everything out? No, they did not. But what they did, let me take this down. What they did do is deployed 300 goats. So they have 300 goats that are perusing the area and eating the vegetation around. They said it was only $15,000 for the project, with the goats grazing 1 to 1.5 acres over 10 to 11 days. I mean, if you think about that, that's not bad. $15,000 in the way that most cities spend money. In fact, that's pretty affordable. The animals' hooves break up dead vegetation layers, helping the native wildflowers to return in the spring. They will selectively remove the problem plants while being gentler near the water. And Dallas apparently has employed grazing goats previously. Officials are encouraging photography only from a distance, reminding people that these are working animals and not pets. Yes, they are. Japanese star, baseball star coming to the White Sox, Munetaka Murakami. Big deal. I love this because Drew and Butchie convinced me of this. But he's a big get. All these Japanese players that are coming over, obviously we know, with how talented they are with Ichiro and Nomo and obviously Shohei Ohtani, who you could make an argument for as the best player to ever play baseball right now. He had a request as a part of his deal, and that was to install a bidet in the locker room. Roki Sasaki made it clear to the team that installing a bidet, when he made it clear to the Dodgers when they were courting him, that installing a bidet was also important. Thank you. I'm down to 12 people. I'm gonna have to retool this program back to 13. But he made a request to install a bidet in the locker room. Now, let me tell you something. I was not pro bidet at all. I'm like, I don't know if I am really ready for, a mini fire hose on the old sphincter area. But Drew and Butchie convinced me. They said the bidet is life-changing. So I didn't use a bidet when I'm in Italy because you have to get off of one toilet and go over to this other bidet toilet. That's a pain in the butt. I installed the bidet on my toilet in our upstairs bathroom, not the master bath. Sue she is 86th, the bidet going in. But I have put it in the guest bathroom, and it's life-changing. That's all I'm going to say. The bidet is absolutely life-changing. And I can totally understand. That's one thing that we can learn from our foreign friends is the beauty of the bidet, because it is magical. And the cleanliness factor that you get with the bidet is it's not matched by anything. Unmatched, unrivaled, if you will. And I can see why someone who's going to sign for that much money wants a bidet. Now, if he's going to sign for a ton of money, he could put the bidet in if he wanted to. But no, he is not. But we will keep you posted on that story. And now here's one. Okay, I'm going to tell you this right now. And I'm not one for conspiracy theories. Well, actually, I am. I love them. But I don't believe. Some of them I believe, some of them I don't. The ones that I believe appear to be really logical to me. I do not believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. I do not. I simply do not believe it. There's no way. I've been to the Grassy Knoll. I've been in Daly Plaza. I've taken a look. There is no way in 1962 Lee Harvey Oswald with a bolt-action rifle did that much damage. It's just not feasible in that little amount of time. But the other one that I'm starting to come around to that I'm not so sure is true, and you can call me nuts if you want. In fact, I encourage you to call me crazy for this one. But I'm really starting to believe that the moon landing was staged. I'm really starting to believe that. And the reason I'm starting to believe it doesn't have anything to do with it. And people have said, well, look at, they've shown the footprints that they show on the moon are different than the bottom of the feet. And on Neil Armstrong's suit, the one thing that, they've always shown that in the absence of an atmosphere, the pressure, if you get a leak in your spacesuit, it'll blow you up from the inside out. We've seen that in the movies where they got the glass helmet on. I was like, it's all, it's all blood and brains on the inside. But if you ask logical questions, you can probably get to the answer although no one's giving it up. Now, on the other hand, nobody can keep a secret. So one person is going to say something if it wasn't true. One person was going to say something. So from that standpoint, it never got out. But I'm saying this. What got me thinking about this is I saw a picture of Neil Armstrong's suit. And like I said, the pressure, if you have an air leak, it'll blow you up from the inside out, right? So if you ask a simple question, if you look at that suit, if that is indeed the truth, right, that air pressure is going to do that, then why did the spacesuit have zippers? Kick that one around. Why did the spacesuit have zippers? Because those are not airtight. A zipper is not airtight. It is not really remotely an airtight seal. I looked at the pictures of that suit. I did not see any airtight seals. Now, we all saw them come down in the space capsule and splash down, but who knows? Maybe they just shot a rocket up there and they were floating around for a while and they came down from just below the atmosphere, or maybe just outside. They floated around. They didn't even land on the moon. And they just kind of floated around up there and then made a re-entry and splashed down. That could be legitimate. But hold on a second, folks. I thought we were going to have a beautiful overcast day, but I'm getting sun into my broadcast studio, which isn't really a broadcast studio. So I'm going to close my drapes there a little bit, closing them up. And there we go. The sun will not be in my eyes. Rocking the old Admirals jersey, the old Gordon Spish guy. This is a practice jersey too. So they could have faked that whole thing, right? And no one would be any the wiser. Here's the other reason why I'm starting to think that the moon landing was staged, right? Because we seem to be having a lot of trouble getting back there. So 1972 was the last lunar landing, right? So we're looking at 53 years. And in those 53 years, we never went back to the moon. And now they're having trouble getting rockets. They just had to cancel another mission with that Artemis. And I would think it was done 53 years ago in the 60s. These with a computer that was the size of a small office building and, a slide rule. With the way the computers have advanced, you would think that this should just be a snap getting back there, right? That it would be something that's very, very simple. Boom. Go right back to the moon. But they can't seem to get it together. So now I'm starting to think, why is that the case? Right? Why is that the case? And now more and more, and I'm convinced that maybe we didn't go to the moon. Maybe we did not make it to the moon. Maybe it was all staged. And this kind of confirms it. This is kind of dicey, right? There is an article that came out that says there are missing moon tapes. The original Apollo 11 slow scan TV recordings, which are higher quality raw source recordings that were used to create the live broadcast, have been lost. They lost it all. They don't have it anymore. NASA could not locate the original Apollo 11 data tapes. And they had a later investigation was that the most likely outcome was that the tapes were erased and reused. NASA publicly acknowledged this in 2009, saying the original recordings were magnetically erased and then reused at a period when NASA recycled tapes to cut costs. When have you ever heard of government cutting costs? Ever? Right? So the original Apollo 11 source tapes are gone, but the broadcast footage exists. And were used for like restoration efforts. And I'm sitting here going, Apollo 11, you landed on the moon. You know, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. You landed on the moon. This was pretty important stuff, right? It was pretty important stuff. Who's recording over it? You record over a mixtape. You know, you might, you know, your VHS, you record over a lot of things, right? I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that copy of Forrest Gump, and I'm going to put my kid's baseball game over the top. But all of a sudden, these lost tapes, these tapes have disappeared, and they cannot find them. I submit to you that the moon landing was faked. And I'm going to die on that hill. I don't have to go out and prove it. I just have to say it and believe it, right? I don't have to go. You don't have to go out and prove anything. You don't want to. Ghislaine Maxwell testified and pled the fifth all day yesterday, which, you know, you knew they were going to do. They're taking all the depositions. Okay, here's the thing with the Epstein files, right? The Epstein files, I'm throwing this right in the same category as Bad Bunny. You've always got to look for the reason why is this being dredged up again. I thought we were over this. And why it's being dredged up is someone's looking to take somebody down, period. Right? Somebody is looking to take somebody down. This is nothing about transparency in getting to the truth. There are people out there who know what's in there. They want it all out so they can use it as political ammunition. Right? Epstein's, you know, I don't think Epstein, first of all, there are a couple schools of thought. Yeah, he committed suicide. Sure. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Sure. And then there's a third one. Epstein didn't kill himself because he's still alive. Think about that. What if, I mean, because you're dealing with some sinister people here. And it would probably, you know, all these files being released would show you how we're all under the control of an oligarchy, right? And I thoroughly believe that. You take a look who's controlling all the money, right? It's Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, buying newspapers, controlling the means of distribution, right? That's who it is. Whoever we elect has nothing to do with anything. So those guys have been shown in pictures and we're all over there. So they're waiting to get these to come out. Why? Why are they doing it? Well, it's always going to be about money. It's always follow the money, period. Well, Ghislaine Maxwell came out and pled the fifth during this whole Congress House Oversight Committee. It was already battled out in the courts of law. Why are we digging this up again? Okay. If the victims want full transparency, then A, you were there. Why aren't you talking? And B, you can go to court and do it. You don't have to go through Congress. So there's something that's there that's just doesn't smell right. So she pleads the fifth all day, but says she'll spill the beans if Trump gives her clemency. She's in some very minimal security prison. But I would just like to preemptively, what I would like to do is send my best thoughts and prayers to Ghislaine Maxwell's family in the event that she does speak, because she's not going to be around anymore. I mean, we're dealing with some really nasty stuff here. This is like, you don't want to know how the sausage is made. You do not want to know how the sausage is made. And this isn't just me getting older. This is just looking at all these things that are falling into place, and you're going, man, this is not passing the smell test. So whether or not she'll be back, the Clintons are going to, the Clintons are going before Congress, and I'm trying to think the other one that they're putting up there. Oh, the guy from Victoria's Secret has to sit down in front of Congress. If anyone in their right mind thinks that they're going to sit there and tell the truth, they're all going to lie. I mean, they all do. They all lie, and Congress isn't going to do anything about it because they're one of them, right? It all becomes a big show, and it's all for grandstanding and posturing. And if you ever watch some of those committee meetings, what is it? It's the same thing over and over, right? It's someone asking a question, and the person, they might be evasive, at which point the person asking the question decides to get on a soapbox and grandstand. And then it goes to, it's a simple yes or no question. It is a simple yes or no question. Did you or did you not? Is it? No, it's not always a simple yes or no question. But those committee meetings, those House oversight things, that isn't even about finding the truth anymore. It's about grandstanding. It's about getting clicks. It's about getting your short up on Instagram Reels. It's about getting it out on TikTok and getting followers. That's what it's all about. It's a pretty sad commentary on what we have to deal with now. Hey, I got to deal with it. I deal with it right here, and I'm going to have to do some work because there's only 18 people watching. I was up almost over to 200 before, so I must really be boring. So I'm going to have to kick up my game. But it's all about the algorithm. It's all about, I took some time off. I didn't put enough shorts out. So this is probably not getting pushed out. There are people that probably don't know about it. You got to keep shoveling coal into the furnace. And you have to be provocative. You have to use clickbait headlines. It doesn't sit right with me. None of that stuff sits right with me. But at my age, I'm not going back into a regular career job. So I got to play the game until, in the hopes that we can put the band back together, which, wheels are in motion. I'm not so sure how quickly that is going to happen, but wheels are in motion. I think at some point you will see a reunion of sorts. When that is, I'm not exactly sure. But you got to keep shoveling coal into the furnace. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to be putting out some more shorts. I put out a couple observational ones today, but man, oh man, it is tough. And I have, my life is not that exciting that I would do anything that could remotely go viral, because I'm not even interested in myself, much less trying to get other people interested in me, to be perfectly honest with you. So it's really, I got to ask myself, is this an exercise in futility here with what I'm doing? And I will be perfectly honest with you, and I will say, no, it is not an exercise in futility. And the reason being is that it keeps me, occupied and keeps me doing something. I'm not playing Fortnite in the basement. I'm not sitting watching movies. At least I'm learning something. But if you have any suggestions, just hit them in the comments below. What would you like to see me do? Because I'll do, anything within reason. So what would you like to see me branch off into in the show? I do have interviews coming up on Thursday. Ted Perry from Fox 6, for those of you who are around southeastern Wisconsin. Ted Perry, anchor, musician, will be on. We're going to talk about music, and we're going to talk about our love of baseball. We went on a couple of heaters out in Arizona during spring training. Next week, I've got Patrick Murphy is coming on. He is a friend of mine who is, it's really a good story. Patrick is a young man, a very good singer, and he's the lead singer for a band, Bella Kane. And we became acquainted back when Drew and I were on 920, and he would text the text line. And through the conversations on the text line that we had, we come to learn that he discovered our show while getting his chemotherapy treatments. I think he's about 37 or 38 while getting his chemotherapy treatments. And his cancer went into remission. It's a very rare form of cancer. And I don't even know. It's something that none of us would even know. And it went into remission. And so we were all very happy about it. And then about 8 or 9 months ago, it popped up again. He's got to get his stem cell transplant, and so it is something that he's working real hard for. And this is just going to be talking about music and anything. It's not going to be. I'm not throwing a pity party here because he's a good kid, and he's been dealt a bad hand, but he's got really interesting stories. Not about that, but he's got great, interesting stories about music. And then another man, another great musician, Eric Jelland, will be on next week. Eric is from a band called The Mascot Theory, which those of you who are regular listeners to the Drew and KB shows, if you listen to the Drew and KB show, we discovered them, Drew and I discovered them stumbling around Summerfest during COVID, and they've become good friends. So they have a new album out. We're going to talk about that. But anywho, hey, Ben, you're still here. Marlo's still here. Good. Jacob, you've seen Bella Kane many times. They are a great band. They are a fun band. He's got a new band called Patrick Murphy and the Cream City Cowboys that no fire, no explosions, no dancing girls, no video, just straight up good country music, really good country music. If you get a chance to see them, go out and see them because they're exceptionally talented. But now we're going to make a turn and we're going to get to the Olympics. That's what I like to call them. There's no just the Olympics. And a couple of stories that I want to touch on. Number one, watching last night, and there is it is going to be the Olympics that will be, I guess you could say, dominated by the influencers, right? I'm starting to see those people that are quote unquote influencers showing up in a lot of the coverage. And they are talented. There are some that have won gold medals, actually, and one of whom won a gold medal last night. And as I'm watching, very, very interesting. We learned something. Now, I don't know if you are familiar with this skater in the women's speed skating. Jutta Leerdam. Right, there she is. Jutta Leerdam. She won the gold and set an Olympic record in the 1,000 meters. But she has 5.5 million followers. And this is really interesting because her thing, I guess it's her signature, is anytime she finishes a race, she's going for the clout. Going for internet clout. And she did it last night. Won the race. In NASCAR, what do? They spin donuts, right? Take a backwards lap. Wasn't that Alan Kowicki who did that? I'm not sure. I'm sure I will be corrected, and I think you should. But Jutta Leerdam. Yeah, Jutta Leerdam wins the 1,000. And her thing is this. Immediately after she wins, she unzips her suit. And so she's skating around, and everyone can see her in her sports bra. Every single race, going for the clout, plain and simple. Now, don't get me wrong, attractive. In fact, very, very attractive. Although I'm not a big fan of that whole pointed eye thing. But then again, different generation. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what that is. It's like Cleopatra thing. I don't know. But that's her thing. That is, she immediately wins a race, unzips a suit, skates around. Okay. Totally for the pictures, totally for the hits on Instagram. That's all it is. It's clickbait. But what I didn't know last night was that her fiance is Jake Paul. Jake Paul is there. I'm watching this race. I go, why the hell is he there? Why is Jake Paul there? Jake Paul, I'm not really a big fan of Jake Paul. In fact, I think the guy's a moron. And I love the fact that he got his clock cleaned instead of taking all these fake title bouts or whatever it was, all these fake boxing matches. I was incredibly disappointed to see that Mike Tyson didn't just pummel him to within an inch of his life, because if you would watch Mike Tyson's training videos, you're like, he's going to kill this guy. He's going to murder him, Rock. But I'm like, why is Jake Paul there? Jake Paul is there because Jake Paul is her fiance. Are you kidding me? How does that work? And I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, what does she see in him? What does he see in her? And then I saw a bit of humanity. And I could not believe it. I saw just a touch of humanity when she ran the race. So if you look at the picture on the left, you go, okay, I just hate these people. I would see them and go, if I were to see them out, I would I hate you. I don't even know you. I can tell already that I hate you. But they got to be in love. So who am I to argue with that? They got to be in love, because that's Jake Paul after she won the race. He's crying like a baby. So this tough guy exterior that you see on the left, and this hard ass boxer in the ring and everything like that, and with all the chains and jewelry and everything like that, he's crying when she won the race. And maybe he does have a soul. It's either that, or he put a couple million on the other chick from the Netherlands. It's one of those two. You would like to think that it is because he is in love. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I do, when you look at that and you see 5.5 million followers, and then I see the whole thing is to unzip the front, and it's like, okay, come on. It's not, it goes back to Brandy Chastain back in the 90s when the women won the World Cup soccer, and all of a sudden she was paid by Nike to rip her jersey off, and she's wearing a Nike sports bra, which, all scripted, by the way. Here's another fun fact. When you talk about Nike and the way they control athletes, going way back to the 90s again, Tiger Woods began his professional career here in Milwaukee at the Greater Milwaukee Open. Everyone was anticipating and anxiously awaiting his arrival on the scene. And many of us probably remember the commercial that Nike ran, where he walks out in front of the cameras, and the cameras and he's at the podium, and he just looks and he goes, hello world. And it's like, oh, isn't that neat? No, it was written for him. That was written for Tiger Woods. He is totally scripted from start to finish. So you wonder, with these athletes going for all the clout, is there anything real anymore? Well, yes, there is something that's real. And this is a guy, a Norwegian biathlete, and that's not biathlete. It's a Norwegian biathlete, which is entirely different than a biathlete. Okay. Not that there's a problem with that. I don't really care. But a biathlete is not a biathlete. That's the cross-country skiing and gun shooting, right? And the guy's name is Jutta Leerdam, and he won a bronze medal. And whenever they win the medals, they've got someone who's down on the ground there, and they go up and they interview him afterwards, right? And he's got a post-race interview, and this is how I know it's real. So what he did was, in the interview, they asked him what it was like about winning the bronze medal, and he used the post-race interview to confess to cheating on his girlfriend. It's like, what? Yeah, he confessed he had cheated on his girlfriend of 6 months. So he did the interview with a Norwegian radio or television station, and he said he met the love of his life 6 months earlier, cheated 3 months later, calling it his biggest mistake. He said he'd been living through the worst week of his life and claimed his relationship felt like having a gold medal in his life compared with his sports result, which you were third. So you don't even have a gold medal. You just have a bronze medal. But he said, he went on to say that he admitted to what he did publicly because he hurt someone he loved and he needed to admit it. And he hopes that by doing so, he could be forgiven. You know, Styria, biathlete, you. Going on to say you were willing to commit social suicide by saying it on TV. She ain't coming back to you. Okay. No, not happening. I am sorry. You just dug a hole that is so deep that you will never get out of it. You will not get out of that at all. Okay. So now, right now, I'm going to tell you right now, she's pissed. Because the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, was coined or written about a man. Because we don't make connections very well. In his mind, this was the perfect thing to do. It was not the perfect thing to do. He should not have said that. And now he's freaking toast. Okay. She is going to ghost him like there's no tomorrow. But met the love of his life 6 months ago. And after 3 months, he cheated on her. Man, that's for the love of your life, huh, dude? I am terribly sorry, but that, my friend, is that is not working. That is not working, and you have literally no shot, my friend. You literally have no shot. But the Olympics are kicking ass right now, and I'm not going to say anything because I don't know if this is true or not. But I did just watch the bronze medal game of the mixed doubles curling. You cannot. I'm going to be on this. Of any winter, I used to be the downhill. I do still like the ice hockey, but I don't know what it is. It's like a moth to a flame with curling. And I will ruin it for you that Italy won the bronze medal. They beat Great Britain. Right after that this morning, I want to say it was like at 7:05 in the morning Central Standard Time, and I have not watched it. That was the Americans versus the Swedes or Norway. It's one of those countries up there. You know, the Dutch, I don't know. You get when, you know, as an American, you look at it and you got Great Britain here, and then you got all those countries that are there that are just kind of like at the top of Europe. You don't know where they start or finish. They're kind of above Germany on the other side of France. We're not exactly sure. They eat herring and have fjords. That's all we know. But so I think it's Sweden that they're, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'll be watching that later. But in watching the curling last night, it was pretty remarkable. Now, I have no idea how the game is played. And I know many of you out there may. I know that Marlo is a curler or very familiar with the game of curling, but it has been interesting. And I had to look up, they go 9-5, 9-5, 10-6, and all this, and they were calling stuff. I don't know. It has something to do with where the stones are in relationship to the rings, and the house, which is the middle. And if it's in the front or the back of the 8-foot ring, or the 12-foot ring, or what have you. But watching it, these well, first of all, the women players were kicking the men's asses in terms of accuracy. The women are just like 1,000 times better. Corey Thesey with the United States, a woman for the United States, is just an absolute savage when it comes to getting points. They got to the gold medal game last night with a, what do they call it? I don't know. What would it be? A slide, a shot? They call it a shot, whatever. I'm not exactly sure. That it was like a 1 in a million shot, right? Had to knock 2 stones. That was the last one of the game. Had to knock 2 stones out, and theirs had to stay in. And if they did, they got 2 points, and they would leapfrog Italy and be able to go to the gold medal game. So they did that, and she hit this shot last night. And I can tell you this morning, because we don't really care about Italy, this morning, the female for the Italian team, Stefania Constantini, she did almost the exact same thing, had a killer final shot to give them the bronze medal. So while it's not the most fast-paced game, and I really don't understand it, there's something that's really interesting about watching curling. I consider that in the Winter Olympic sports to be the equivalent of Deal or No Deal, right? Deal or No Deal is the dumbest game, and there is absolutely there's skill to curling, but there is not a lot of there's nothing deep about Deal or No Deal. But when Deal or No Deal comes on, I'm just riveted, right? Just picking a number on a case. That's all it is, just picking this case number. But I have to watch it. I have to watch Deal or No Deal. I have to watch curling. So you learn, from all the foreign countries, you learn what the different languages are and how they say hard in other languages, because that's all they ever yell is hard, 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 hard. But I'll be going, as soon as this is over, I'm going to be going to watch the U.S. game. Now, I noticed this in the last Olympics, right? And this has kind of been a running joke on on the Drew and KB show. Is that there is another subculture that I have stumbled onto. One of them was that I did a while ago was a couple of years ago on Instagram. And once you do that, I don't know if they call them subreddit. It would be like a subreddit, or they call it, curling talk or whatever. And that's where everything is posted. Several years ago, I realized that Paige Sporanic had started this hot female golfer thing that everyone seems to follow. And now you've got nothing but 20-something, year old golfers who probably are not that good, but they're all wearing like Skims tops and little skirts, and with their breastises flopping. And then they're going out and they're hitting golf balls, and they're getting 2.3 million followers. I will tell you this much. When I want to fix my golf swing, and this is how I discovered it, when I want to fix my golf swing, I can't go, or if I'm doing something wrong, I can't go and watch a man swing and do it, because it's way too fast, right? It's just a blur. You don't see it. You do not see, where the hands are or anything like that. And I started going to watch women's golf videos. And that's how I stumbled upon this whole subculture of, hot young female golfers. If you are a golfer, I'm telling you right now, if you want to see the most perfect golf swing, go watch Nelly Korda. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And that's who I'll usually go to, is I'll watch that and I'll look at tempo and position and stuff like that. But anyway, going out now and playing golf, and I live near a public course, and I'll go out there and play that on Saturday night. I am thoroughly convinced that there is a group of young women who are taking up the game of golf strictly for the outfits. Thoroughly convinced. Or to keep an eye on their boyfriends and the outfits. Keep an eye on their boyfriends and the outfits. That's why they're doing it. And you cannot convince me otherwise. But in curling now, I discovered in curling that I went to look up the rules of curling and stumbled on yet another subculture. And there is an Instagram account called The Hot Women of Curling. And I was kind of intrigued by that. And that brings us to today's top 5 all-time worldwide. And my top 5 all-time worldwide today is my top 5 all-time worldwide women's curlers. So as I started digging into it, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see what they're into. So here we go. My top 5 all-time worldwide female curlers. Coming in at number 5 is Eve Muirhead from Great Britain. Eve Muirhead from Great Britain comes in at number 5. Now, she was not in the mixed doubles team, but expect to see her with the women's team. Coming in at number 4, we are going to go to Estonia for Marie Kaldvi from Estonia. Number 4, hot female curlers. And what's interesting is, if you look at this is why I laugh, and I know there are curling clubs everywhere, but these people are so well balanced, and there is no way on God's green earth the average person could get down into that stance, much less. And I was watching how they push off, and they push off with the foot. If you take a look at this image, they're pushing off the back with the foot that is in front. So they push off and they swing that foot around. But if you were to look at it straight on, their knee is on the other, on the other side of the other knee, and the toe is curled back to the outside. There's no way the average person is getting down into that stance and sliding, much less being able to pop up with that broom. So halfway down the ice, when they let it go in the mixed doubles, they don't have someone else who has to sweep for them. So they have to pop up and then start brushing themselves. There's no way. I break a collarbone, for Christ's sake. I'm not going to. There's no possible way that I'm getting up like that. And it is such an impressive talent. But coming in at number 3, Marie Kaldvi from Estonia. She's at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Melanie Robillard from Germany. Melanie Robillard from Germany is the number 3 hottest female curler. Coming in at number 2, and she was formerly my number 1. We're going to go to our friends to the north, to Canada, and that would be Rachel Homan, the skip for Team Homan in Canada. So Rachel Homan is the number 2 hottest women's female Olympic curler. And the thing is that every one of these women are great players. The skill is unbelievable. To get to that level is amazing. I mean, I can't even play like shuffleboard in a bar without whipping the thing off the back end, right? To be able to do that with a 40-pound stone or a 30-pound stone, how to twist it just the right amount. Wow, it's just mind-boggling. So number 2 is Rachel Holman, and then coming in number 1 as the hottest female Olympic curler is, yes, from Italy, Stefania Constantini. Just killing it. She's 27 and she won her first Olympics or first world title in 2018. So that would be what? That's 8 years ago. So she's 19, 18 years old. But Stefania Constantini is the number 1 hottest woman's female curler. So let's run down that list again. We're going to start at number 5, and it is going to be Eve Muirhead from Great Britain. Moving on to number 4, it is Marie Calvi from Estonia. Number 3 is Melanie Robillard from Germany. Number 2, Rachel Holman from Canada. And finally, number 1, hottest female curler, Stefania Constantini of Italy. Just go to the comments and put who you think is the hottest female curler there. And that brings us to the end of the show today. As I said, I'm going to keep it around an hour. And I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling a little bad. Only 18 people. So people must be tuning in and just going, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And it's supposed to be. Just understand it is supposed to be done. It is dumb. It's a placeholder. But I love you guys for still tuning in. Spread the word. Tell people if they want to go back. I break up the show into little pieces so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. I greatly appreciate the fact that you do. But hit like, subscribe, hit that bell, hit the notify button, and come back tomorrow for more top 5s, more I forgot that. No, I'm going to do this right now. I forgot that. I'm not going to end. How about this? I forgot to talk about what color is the sky on your planet. See, maybe that's why people aren't showing up, because I'm not organized at all. This is a great one. And then I will say goodbye and wish you all a happy goodbye. There's a man by the name of Nico Gregg. And I understand maybe his motivation here, but of course, again, another YouTuber. He posted a video on January 31st documenting multiple attempts to visit Epstein's former island on Little St. James in the U.S. Virgin Islands. He said he did not make it onto the beach or island. He said he got a few steps towards the shore and then turned back. So he was trying to get on there and film Epstein's Island for YouTube as an influencer. Didn't make it. After returning to the U.S., he is saying there's a lot of large black SUVs, Cadillac Escalades, repeatedly appearing outside of my home. And he's posted TikTok showing vehicles passing by while he said he's posting just in case anything happens, which the victims of the Epstein cases have been doing. They've been posting these videos saying, if anything happens to me, I did not commit suicide. I'm happy about my life. So if I show up dead, it wasn't me. One of his TikToks had 33 million views at the time. In later videos, he claims a DoorDash driver attempted to enter his home, which he speculated might be connected to the SUV sightings. Think about that. Think about that. You're not going to let a stranger into your home. You never do. Right? But DoorDash guys, yeah, come on in. Wait, let me get my wallet so I can tip you. The DoorDash guy is a perfect cover for an assailant. Let's get him, send him. Think about it. That's all they had to do would be send him they get in there, they send him a coupon to his house. They know where he lives. They send him something for a free DoorDash, a free lobster and steak DoorDash. He calls up, they take it goes to a fake place. You get the lobster and the steak or whatever it is, something for free that would have a high value. Then the DoorDash guy shows up with his meal, which is totally fake. It's done surreptitiously, goes in, boom, kidnaps the guy or executes him, right? But he said he has tried to go and confront the people in the vehicles, has not managed to successfully confront them, where drivers will leave before he can engage with them. So it is a privately owned island, so they talked about whether or not it was legal or illegal for him to get there. But I think trying to get on Epstein's island and black SUVs all of a sudden showing up around your neighborhood, way too coincidental for me. I can tell you right now, in my neighborhood, there's a couple of Escalades, but they're not blacked out Escalades. They don't have obscured plates. So all I can say to Mr. Nico Grigg, who decided it would be a good idea to sneak onto Epstein's island, is what color is the sky on your planet, dude? Now, I would love, if I had the money, I would buy Epstein's island. Okay. You could probably get it for a song. I'm sure the market value of it has dropped. You know, it's got a history. We got people down the street. Someone committed suicide in the house. And, you know, that market value dropped, tanked a little bit. Epstein's island, who knows? But what color is this guy on your planet trying to sneak onto Epstein's island? Dear God. People are idiots. So that's the show for today, folks. I will be back tomorrow with God knows what, an update on something. But I do appreciate you guys sticking around. Spread the word. You know, I get this stuff up later in the evening, my top fives and everything like that. So spread the word. Stay tuned. Thanks for coming here. It helps me keep well, I'm not getting paid. It doesn't help me keep the lights on, but it keeps the dim flicker of hope that should we put the band back together, we'll have a solid foundation to do this, because I am certainly convinced if that were the case, this is the place we should be. Thank you for showing up. And as I always like to say, make good choices.
It's KB's.